everybody to the Ames Board of Trustees meeting, April 14th, 2021. I would like to call the meeting to order. Are there any corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion is carried. The consent agenda for the minutes of the March 10th, 2021 District Board meeting. That's the only minutes on the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the minutes.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Same sign. That motion is carried as well. Number 4, public comment. The Board of Trustees encourages the general public to provide comments directly related. Those comments will come to the Secretary of the Board of Trustees. And because of COVID, they will be through email. That email is provided in the agenda. Any comments received shall be read or disseminated at the next board meeting. Today, we do have one comment from the public. Okay, is Allison Beasley on the screen? I believe Allison is out there. Allison, this is Lyle Oxiger, Chair of the Board of Trustees. Would you like to read your comment?
I can, yes. Let me pull it up.
While Allison is pulling that up, understand that the board will not make comments at this time on any comments as per policy. But we're certainly interested in what you have to say.
I have it pulled up now.
Okay, please proceed.
I am a Weld County resident from Windsor and a full-time faculty member at Ames Community College. In reading the current information packet for the April 14th, 2021 meeting, I am concerned about the action item compensation proposal fiscal year 21-22, specifically the employees listed under the quote annual pay adjustment cost of living of 2.5%, end quote. As this action item notes, quote, this adjustment will impact the following employees: full-time faculty, full-time staff, full-time administrators, part-time staff, including student employees, end quote. Conspicuously missing from this list are part-time adjunct faculty who teach many, if not the majority, in some disciplines of our classes at Ames. While there are around 100 full-time faculty, there are around 200 to 300 part-time faculty, depending on the semester. All other regular employees at Ames will benefit from this action by the board to keep our wages on pace with the cost of living, especially after the challenging year everyone has faced due to the pandemic. But part-time faculty will not benefit. To me, this signals that Ames sees part-time faculty as not meriting similar or parallel support and rewards as all other employees in the Ames community. Importantly, part-time staff are rightly being recognized here, including student employees, but part-time faculty, by their nature of their unique contractual position, are not. In the future, I hope Ames administration finds a way to include part-time faculty in annual cost of living pay adjustments. Thank you for your time.
Allison, and thank you for your comments. Next on the agenda, presentation.
Excuse me, Chair Oxiger.
Yes, please.
We do have a second public comment that just came in addressing Allison Beasley's comment. This comment is from John Mangan. So if John Mangan is
John
out there on Zoom?
screen?
Yes.
John, would you like to make your comment, please?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to comment, and I'll just read mine here. As an Ames employee, I appreciate the discussions we have related to compensation. I appreciate the efforts to keep our compensation competitive with other regional institutions and industry generally. However, it is disappointing to see that adjunct faculty are not included in the proposed pay increase for the upcoming year. As most educational institutions do, we rely heavily on the efforts and expertise of our adjunct faculty. It is my hope that upcoming years will not have a similar oversight with respect to consideration of adjunct faculty pay. Thank you.
All right, John, thank you for your comments, sir. Okay, any other comments come in? Okay. And again, thank you both. Number 5 on the agenda is presentation from guests and representatives to the board, and wonderful part of the meeting, excellence at Ames. And Kelly Jackson, Foundation Executive Director, I believe you have someone to introduce.
Yes, I do. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome, Board of Trustees, Dr. Bornstein. I am excited to share out today's Excellence at Ames student. So I start out with, how do you become famous as an ambassador of Ames? It's the $1 million question. An easy place to start is becoming an advertising icon through the marketing program within our community. Namely, become the star on a local billboard. Today's Excellence at Ames alum was on multiple billboards around Greeley as the face of My Greeley campaign. This famous alum began her Ames journey in the summer of 2016 as a single mom of a beautiful 8-year-old girl, Coraline. This non-traditional student took the big leap at becoming an Ames student. She also entered a non-traditional field for the study of women, going into the welding area. Her focus was to acquire an applied associate's degree in welding. She jumped in full speed ahead as a work study in the welding department, became a member of Pi Kappa Phi Honor Society and the National Society of Leadership and Success. A 2019 honors graduate with an associate degree in applied science, we welcome today Shayla Lamb. And you will see her in her welding attire since she is directly reporting in from her workspace. Shayla, it's up to you. She was on. Hopefully she's still here.
Can you guys hear me?
There she is.
Now we hear her.
Yes, we can hear you.
I cannot figure out my camera. I'm sorry about that. It won't let me start my video. But as Kelly said, yeah, I'm an Ames alumni. I graduated in 2019 with honors. My biggest achievement would definitely be my daughter, as though Ames was really great for me. I actually wasn't planning on going to school at all. I was working full-time at the hospital in Greeley, making a living for my daughter and myself. While I was there, I met a man in hospice named Peter, who was in hospice for a very long time. Nobody would ever come and see him, so I would spend my breaks with him, and my days off, I would go and visit him. And we would just talk, and he used to be a teacher, and he told me that I was too smart to be doing what I was doing, so that I should go back to school. And when Peter passed away, nobody came to collect his things, and it just really set with me. So I thought I would do what he asked me to do and go and enroll in school. I've always wanted to be a welder ever since I was in kindergarten. Got my very first welder's cap in kindergarten. So that's what I wanted to do, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wasn't sure how going to school would work out for me, being a single mom. But Ames offers so many opportunities for financial help between FAFSA and work studies, and being able to break up your semesters is needed. My first semester, I wasn't able to get student aid. So I only took one class because I couldn't afford to take any more. But that's the great thing about Ames, is it lets you be flexible with however you need to do it. Graduating from Ames has helped me prepare for my life. It helped me learn how to manage my time a lot better than I was before. Along as welding, it taught me how to be better at welding. Learned a lot of skills from Jeff and Brian and Cody. They were all awesome. But after I got done with school, I became an iron worker. If you don't know what that is, it is doing construction. So when you see somebody 80 feet up in the air welding on a building, that is what I did. My favorite place that I got to help build in that job is at the Denver Zoo. We got to help build the new animal hospital there. So that was really cool experience working on a government job. I've built countless schools, apartment complexes, old folks' homes. But overall, Ames gave me the ability to connect with my daughter on a whole different level because she's in school and I was in school at the same time. So we would sit together at home and do our homework together. And she just kept reminding me how proud she was and how awesome what I was doing was. She really wanted to be a welder until I got burnt real bad the first time, and then she changed her mind. Now she wants to be a firefighter. So I'm hoping she'll be at Ames one day too, doing the fire program. Been practicing her EMT skills. Overall, though, Ames is awesome. I would have never expected school to be what it was. You know, you think of college and it's boring and it's homework, but the more involved you get with Ames, the better your experience is, I believe. Like Kelly said, I was part of several different groups, Pi Theta Kappa and NSLS. They helped me learn a lot as well, learned a lot about myself, and made me proud to be part of Ames, and still am really proud to be part of Ames. It was by far one of the best decisions I ever made was going back to school. And I do appreciate you guys having me here today. It means a lot to me to still be a part of Ames, not just done and forgotten. Now I'm working at a Harsh International in Eaton, and I'm building farming equipment. So got 4 weed burners going right now and countless mixers, too many augers to count, but still really fun, still using all of my skills I learned from Ames and still succeeding at life with my daughter right there beside me. She keeps me going and makes me remember how important life is. I think that's all I got. Sorry, I talked really fast.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you, Shayla. We appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Okay, well, God, what an incredible story. And thank you so much, Shayla, for joining us here and sharing your story with us. I wish we could have seen you. I don't know which billboard to go look for.
My billboards are actually down now, but if you go to mygreeley.com, my daughter and I's pictures are still up there as well as our story.
Wonderful. Well, we will do that. Well,
Sorry, I couldn't get my camera to work.
Okay. Well, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to say thank you again for being here and say how proud we are of you and how proud we are that you're such a great ambassador for Ames Community College. Thank you. And I think Dr. B would like to say a word.
I don't know if you can see us, Shayla, but I'm waving to you. So hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much just for taking time out of your day to share your story with us. This is truly an important part of the board meeting and important for all of us at the college to hear on a monthly basis. We hear from current students and alumni every month at board meetings so that we actually keep your story in the forefront of our minds, because this is why we're all here. So thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for choosing Ames. Thank you for keeping us certainly in your heart, because you're in ours. And we greatly appreciate everything you're doing for our community. And I can't believe you're up in the air at 8 and 10 feet welding. That's just amazing to me. So keep up the great work, and thank you again.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful part of the meeting. Next on the agenda, Representatives to the board, Student Government Association, Alicia, are you out there?
Yes, I am. Can you guys hear me and see me okay?
There you are. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you and good afternoon, trustees members. This month, the student leaders focus on collaborations among many departments here at Ames and the community. So first off, the SGA team has mentioned in the board report packet, we are working with many departments, staff and faculty members here at Ames. Our most recent was with Mike Millsaps, providing us the tour of the Welcome Center and Student Commons. During the tour, we took photos and videos so we may post these on our student-facing social media. We want to share with students amazing progresses on these buildings. This was a great experience for the SGA student leaders to actually see the layout of the buildings in person, since they have been involved with facilities and operations and the update meetings even before construction began. More examples of our committees and partnerships, including the Learning Commons, various Ames faculty members, government agencies, Dean of Students Office, CDI, Marcom Department, the Windsor, Fort Lupton, and Loveland campuses, our youth focus teams, Commencement, RD Pantry, and Ames student organizations, just to name a few. Involvement on committees to represent the student voice is really important, and whatever is necessary is important for us and to the SGA student leaders. We strive to advocate for all students and model for students the importance of campus involvement for themselves, our college, and for their professional development as they graduate and enter the workforce. Next, with our campus activities programmers, they continue to partner with various departments as well at Ames, and as well as our community organizations. The CAP board is collaborating with the Marcom department, the Holocaust Memorial Observance Planning Committee, the CDI, Ames student organizations, the Windsor and Fort Lupton campuses to host the upcoming 3 drive-in movies every weekend in April, starting with this upcoming Saturday. Additional collaborations include the Title IX office, the West Greeley Conservation District, the Facilities and Operations Horticulture Department, the Loveland Poet Laureate Committee, and the English faculty. As you can see, the CAP board student leaders have fostered many partnerships, which has provided them with a wealth of leadership experience and soft skill development to take forth into their chosen careers. So as student leaders, we really, really value our connections and relationships within Ames. So thank you. That will be all for our update. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Alicia. Any questions of Alicia? Okay, hearing none, thank you for being here and thank you for your report as always. Next is Ames Faculty Association, Mr. Mark Moody.
Okay, good afternoon, Chair Oshinger, Dr. Bornstein, and members of the board. Just want to say again, we continue to work hard during these difficult times as faculty, both faculty and department chairs, and we are excited about that fall semester will be a full reopen, so we're really looking forward to that. For conferences, we had the instructor of mathematics, Michael Miller. He presented at the Colorado Mathematical Associated 2-year colleges with a student, and it was I write because I can't read my own typing. It focused on how instructors and students can, talk about written communication for all 3 of the settings while teaching. And it's really just to say like how different technologies can use to show their work, but also to communicate with faculty and also the students. For community involvement, myself, I actually ran a free throw basketball tournament through the Knights of Columbus at St. Mary's Catholic School in early March. We had various age groups for both boys and girls, and we had 4 winners. And 2 of them went to Colorado Springs to compete for the state, but they didn't win, unfortunately, but had a good time. And then adjunct instructor of early child education, Deborah Becker. She's actually teaching online cohort in Huzhou, China, under the umbrella for the University of Northern Colorado. And then for professional development, the department chair and professor of early child education, Christine Weedman, completed a course, Theories of Language, Learning and Teaching at Colorado Christian University at the Loveland Center. And of course, we'll gain more information regarding that. And if you look in your packets, we have some faculty voices related to the question, what do you love about remote teaching? A lot of different diversity of answers. As you can see, Professor Johnson, who teaches English, she said she likes the fact that students can come in when normally they can't, come all the way to campus, so they can meet with her through Zoom. And then if you look at Professor DeWitt's, his is very nice. He says that he, of course, can say has more of a personal aspect of, with students' lives, especially their pets when he's teaching. And then Professor Washman, she is, of course, saying like how some faculty like the remote teaching, how it even benefits the students as well, too, depending on the class, and how there's been a lot of engagement through it. And I can even say this myself with teaching GIS. So that's pretty much all I have here for accomplishments, faculty voices, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Any questions for Mark? Okay, hearing none, thank you again for your report as usual, Mark. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Okay, next is Ames Staff Association, Jen Seedorf.
Good afternoon, Chair Oxiger, members of the board, and Dr. Bornstein. It's nice to be with you this afternoon. A short and sweet report for you, but I do know that, like everyone else, staff is on that downhill slide to the end of the semester, and we're all looking forward to gradually getting back on campus in person. I know me personally, I'm very excited to see my coworkers in person as opposed to on the screen. So just looking forward to that and a fun summer, hopefully. So I have a couple of staff accomplishments and kudos. So first, a big congratulations to Erica Lovato, who's the staff associate in the center, the CDI. She completed her bachelor's degree, and she says that obtaining my bachelor's degree was one of the biggest accomplishments I've had. I endured and overcame so much. I didn't think I would ever go to school for that long, but it was well worth it, and I am so happy to be able to say I have completed my bachelor's degree. I hope to continue to work with students in my future. So congratulations to her. We also had a staff member in Allied Health and Wellness who wished to remain anonymous, but this person spent quite a bit of time, 80 plus hours from July through August, volunteering with Meals on Wheels out in the community. So what a great thing to be doing and a great way to represent Ames out in the community. So thanks to staff for those submissions. And finally, just want to end with a ripples to highlight. As always, those are in your packet, but this one particularly hit me in the heartstrings. So I know it will for you too. So this goes out to Patty Schultz, Ann Z, Terry Adams, and the SAIL team. This was nominated by Dana Jones, who is the Assistant Dean of Students. Dana says, I was recently working with a student who is currently experiencing some very hard times academically, emotionally, and financially. In an email response from the student in thanking Ames for all of the support, the student specifically mentioned Artie's Pantry with the following comment, quote, I also want to say just how helpful the pantry staff is. When people are in a hard time, it is so nice to have any understanding, smiling face. End quote. A huge kudos and thank you to the Artie's Pantry staff for the amazing work they do daily, always keeping it real, friendly, and professional. Their work truly does show a community of care. And in addition to Dana's comments, I personally would like to add that in my position in the college as the grants accountant, I've had the pleasure of recently working with Patty Schultz and Tiffany Brickley as they've managed 2 food pantry assistance grants. And I'd like to say both of these women have worked so hard to put these funds to good use and ensure that the pantry is consistently stocked with items for our students to be able to provide for themselves and their families. Asking for assistance can be difficult, and I'm sure no one is surprised here to hear that the pantry staff does a great job of making sure that students feel comfortable coming in to get what they need and making for one less concern for their home responsibilities and one less barrier to their success as a student. So just a big thank you to the pantry staff for being an integral part of the student's success. So with that, I'll take any questions. That's all that I have today.
Thank you, Jen, as always. Any questions of Jen? None? Okay, well, I certainly appreciate the comments in the report. Those are always great. Love the ripples. Thank you, Jen. Next on the agenda is action items. 6A, compensation proposal fiscal year 2021-22. And Dee, if you could take it from here.
Good afternoon, trustees. Before I go into action item 6A, I'd like to take a minute to address the public comments received regarding part-time faculty pay. Part-time faculty are in a different pay structure than full-time faculty and staff. And because of this, part-time faculty have never received a cost of living increase. 10 years ago, part-time faculty base pay was at just below 57% of full-time faculty base. Over a 5-year period, there was a goal to bring the part-time faculty base pay up to 75% of the full-time base pay and then maintain that percentage. Best practices recommends a base pay increase every 2 to 3 years. Last year, the board approved a base pay increase of 2%. Therefore, we're not recommending a base pay increase for this coming year.
Do we have any benefits associated with adjunct?
As far as medical benefits,
Yes.
so we do follow the Affordable Care Act. And so if part-time employees, including part-time faculty, are eligible for that, for benefits, then they do receive medical benefits.
I would like,
Sure, Dr. Peterson.
well, I think Dee was going to finish or say something more to Mark.
We also implemented the sick leave benefits as well for part-time employees.
I would just like to ask if we, by policy, I guess you would say, move the part-time, the adjunct to 75% level with regular staff. Then if the regular staff or faculty increases by 2%, then wouldn't the part-time?
If we move the base pay of full-time faculty, then we adjust the base pay for part-time faculty.
But this is just a cost of living. Is what we're
yes.
talking about. Okay. Okay.
All right.
How much do we,
Anything else?
yeah, how much do we rely upon these adjunct part-time faculty? If we had to hire full-time or full employees, what would a burden turn into?
I would have to defer that question. I don't have an answer
Okay,
for that.
I think I guess I see where you know, my concern is as we look at education and, you know, we have both full-time faculty, tenured academic individuals, as well as our work experience faculty, people that come from our work environment and teach adjunct part-time, you know, whether it's one class or 5 or what have you. you know, that work experience has a great value to our learners. You know, and I don't know if there's a way to, you know, this isn't going to get solved here today. This is just a question. I'm going to have more questions about this until I understand a little bit more. You know, it's just something we didn't discuss when we went through the work session on this, and it wasn't part of conversation at that time. So I will have more questions once I understand it better. Maybe on a graph.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, I think that addresses the questions that were in public comment. So thank you for that, Dee.
Sure, thank you. So I'll move on to action item 6A, which is the compensation proposal for fiscal year 2021-22. In 2006, Board of Trustee minutes indicate support to reach the 75th percentile of Mountain State survey for full-time faculty pay. This goal was met and has been maintained for fiscal year 2021. For strategic plan strategy 2, objective 2.3, line 46, compensation, market and benefits package review adjustments were made for fiscal year 2019-20 to the staff pay matrix and administrator pay benchmark to reestablish internal equity, address internal compression, realign base pay with market, and address minimum wage projections. For fiscal year 2020-21, a slight matrix base and benchmark adjustment was approved to maintain these standards. Best practice recommends a review of matrix, base, and benchmark every 2 to 3 years. Therefore, administrative recommendation is to not request adjustments for fiscal year 2021-22. The administrative recommendation for fiscal year 2021-22 is an annual pay adjustment, cost of living of 2.5%. This adjustment will impact the following employees: full-time faculty, full-time staff, full-time administrators, part-time staff, including student employees, for a fiscal impact of $705,000. As such, administrative recommendation is a motion to approve a 2.5% annual pay adjustment for fiscal year 2021-22.
All right, thank you, Dee. Any questions of Dee? Dr. Peterson.
Mr. Chairman, Dee, you said that the cost of living would be up to 2.5, and yet what we have in front of us says it will be 2.5.
Yes, right now there's estimates out there. And so we're recommending a 2.5 increase, which was the average cost of living for the last 10 years.
But everybody will get the 2.5, because it sort of sounded like there might be some that would not get the 2.5.
Correct. Part-time faculty, because their base pay is contingent on what the base pay for full-time faculty is,
Yes,
would not get that. But the positions that are listed here will get the 2.5%.
Okay, all right, I wanted to make sure that's what I
Yes.
heard. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, if you're ready, I would move that we approve agenda item 6A.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item 6A. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I would like to have a little more information on this action item, just from the perspective that, you know, I think we should understand the parity that we have. We have obviously contracts with a variety of vendors here at the college. And if our toilet paper goes up 10%, yeah, we need toilet paper. So it goes up 10%. I don't know the process of how adjunct part-time faculty work at a contractual basis. And I work with contractors all the time. And obviously, every year is a negotiation, I would take it to be true. And how that gets negotiated or what's the reasonable fair rate, I don't know any of those things. And, you know, we're trying not to get into the weeds here, but looks like we're leaving part of the lawn uncut. And I'm just wondering if we need more time to kind of understand the decision we'd make. And so.
So
That's my perspective on
Okay,
this.
thank you, Mark. D.
we would be setting a precedent if we change our current practices with what we're doing. As I mentioned, part-time faculty have never received a cost of living increase.
Right.
Their increases are based on maintaining that 75% of full-time faculty base pay. So it's just a comment.
Understand that statement.
Thank you.
I would just like to say, I think that this is based on policy. And I think Dee and her human resources considers all of the best practices and everything that goes into that and makes these recommendations based on all of that information. I think if we want more information going forward for a future year's budget, we could certainly ask for that. And but to change this now seems to me like would affect policy and several other things if we were to attempt to do that. So I think based on the policies that we have and without setting precedent, I would recommend approval of this. Any other comments?
Good. I just have,
Dr. Peterson asked and then Jean. Oh, go ahead, Dr.
Well, I
Peterson.
just, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really have a lot of sympathy for what Mark is saying, and I think there should be some consideration given for his concerns. But like you, I think we need to move forward with what we have before us. But that doesn't preclude us from any time from here on out to changing the policy and making it consistent with, I think, where Mark is going if we do want to go that way.
Gene.
I have a question that relates to how we match up to the market for our adjunct professors. And I'm sure you probably do surveys on salary. Where do we come in compared to market for adjuncts?
Yes, and that is part of our annual process is to look at that and look at the market. If we look at some of our peer institutions within, so say UNC, Front Range, Red Rocks, we're well above what they're currently paying for their part-time lecture instructors. And we fall right fairly close, very small percentage, probably less than a 2% difference with a national survey, which is colleges, universities, professional association, which includes colleges across the country.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have any comments?
I do. Dee, thank you for that information. And I understand what Mark's saying and everyone else is saying. Once again, I'm a visual person. So maybe down the road, we could have some more information, more data to look at this, because I don't think I could make a decision right now because I don't have all the information. So maybe in the future. Thank you.
Okay, just have one more, my thoughts here isn't to say no, it's to kind of, this is something that would be for next semester, am I correct?
So what we're
fall of 21, spring of 22, am I correct?
Yes, the next academic year.
In order to kind of, I feel there's a little bit of missing information or understanding, let's just say that. And I think you've done a great job trying to present what you know. And then when we have two individuals that are well-tenured participants at our college voice a bit of a concern. Well, we are spending a lot of money and, it's not like we can give everybody everything, but we could certainly make this decision in August after we've had a work session that gives us the ability to kind of get a little bit more global with it and then move forward from there. And I'm okay with action B because that's just benefits. We move through that one and move forward. So that's my thoughts. That's where I'll be voting.
Okay, Dr. B.
Actually, this is tied directly to the budget that needs to be acted upon in May. So this is not an item that we can postpone to a later date. What we can do is, as you've all suggested, is certainly continue a discussion around this. I would also venture forth and remind us that we had a full-blown work session at our last board retreat around these specific topics. And much of this information was presented there. What we have here is highlighting a specific group of folks that it sounds like the board wants deeper information into, so that we can certainly do that as we move forward. It will be a much larger conversation than part-time faculty because our entire pay compensation matrix for part-time faculty, full-time administrators, full-time staff, part-time staff are all interwoven and built upon each other so that we certainly do not have compression issues and that we're able to retain and attract talent. So while it sounds simple, this will be a very large conversation about our entire compensation structure. So I just want to let you know that, again, while it sounds simple and easy and we could put this off or do this later, it will be a very large conversation that we are happy to do. Just want you to know it will be more than just a part-time pay conversation.
Thank you for that input, Dr. B. And I would agree with that. I think, back when they made the decision to go to 75%, I'm sure, I wasn't here, but I'm sure that was a very long conversation and a lot of research and time and everything went into making that decision. And that became policy, and that's the policy we followed and we continue to follow. So as Dr. B suggested, this is a matrix. It's not a number on a piece of paper. So it's going to involve a lot of research and a lot of information to the board so that we can make an informed decision on not only that particular item, but on the collateral, if you will, effects it has on all other pay scales, as well as the budget. So, with that said, do I have a motion to approve? I have a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, I was under further discussion. A lot of discussion. Okay. Then I'll ask the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 No. We have one no. Trustee Howe. Okay, so I will ask the question. All opposed? Just for the opposed. Okay. He's still opposed. Okay, moving on. That item carries. Item B, health and dental insurance benefits, fiscal year 2021 to 22. Again, D.
Thank you. Ames participates in a comprehensive health and benefits plan developed and managed by the State Board of Community Colleges and Occupational Education. Ames is a member of the Benefits Advisory Committee, which meets monthly to review claims experience, adjust plan coverages, annually receive provider service and rate proposals, and take action on how earnings from the SBCCOE Benefits Trust, established in 1983, is to be applied to buy down future premium costs for the participating colleges and their employees. Current medical benefits include plan options provided by Anthem, Kaiser, dental benefits include plan options provided by Delta Dental. For fiscal year 21-22, there will be no plan changes for medical and an added benefit, prevention first for dental. Premiums for medical benefits will see an average decrease of 2.5% for Anthem and an increase of 6% for Kaiser. Currently, Ames provides 100% coverage for employee tier only, or employee only tier, I should say, and 85% coverage for plus children, spouse, and family coverage. Open enrollment for employees begins, actually this year, it will begin May 1st. Therefore, approval of comprehensive health and benefit plan payments is timely. Administrative recommendation is a motion to maintain coverage for employees only tier at 100% and coverage for plus children, spouse, and family tiers at 85% for fiscal year 21-22.
Okay, thank you, Dee. Any questions of Dee?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'm sorry, I intended to ask this question when we went through this before, but I was once again being computer literate and et cetera, and hardly got in on the meeting at all. But what is, when you say employee, children, spouse, and family, what is the and family?
There's 3 tiers. So there's a premium for employee plus children. There's a premium for employee plus spouse. And then there's a separate premium for employee plus family. So different premiums. So the family, if you want total family coverage, will cost you a little bit more than if you're just providing coverage for just your children.
But I'm wondering, what is family beyond spouse and children?
It encompasses both of those. And could include the definition of family and spouse could include a qualified partner. But it encompasses both of those. Otherwise, you're just providing coverage for either children or spouse or all of them.
Okay, because
So
I couldn't understand. I thought, God, there's another category out here that family was different than children and spouse.
It includes both categories. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I did have a question.
Yes.
And Ames provides 100% coverage for, is it full-time employees, part-time employees?
All benefit eligible employees,
Okay.
which includes full-time and includes part-time who meet the qualifications under the Affordable Care Act.
Okay, thank you.
And for medical, for those.
Okay, thank you.
very good. Okay, any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I would move to approve.
Can I second that motion?
And we have a motion and a second to approve item 6B. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Thank you, Dee.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Action item 6C, Emeritus status for Patty Campbell. Dr. Rotharmer.
Thank you, Chair Oxiger, members of the board, Dr. Bornstein. I appreciate this opportunity to highlight just a few of the accomplishments and contributions of our 2 emeritus nominees. Patty Campbell began her career at Ames in 2006 and has been heavily involved in the operations of academics for her entire career. A strong advocate for students, Patty has been instrumental in course scheduling, budgets, and activities over the last 15 years. Her infectious personality and easygoing demeanor has always been appreciated. Her Popcorn Fridays will be missed among other special Patty events. Like Colleen, Patty has been featured in multiple galleries and exhibits for her creative welding. And both Colleen and Patty have been highlighted by the county for Women Who Weld Creatively, a promotional program by Weld County to highlight various women in historically male industries. Based on these highlights and the information in your board packets, our administrative recommendation is for approval of emeritus status for Patty Campbell.
Thank you, Dr. Rothamer. Any questions? I'm sorry, did somebody have a question?
If I may, I was gonna,
Please.
I would move that we approve action item 6C, approval of emeritus for Patty Campbell.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I would second that
Okay,
motion.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Congratulations, Patty. Okay,
Thank you. Colleen Martin began her career at Ames in 1995, teaching in the graphics design program. In addition to her outstanding courses and her very loyal students, she helped with our portfolio review, design slam, and has been heavily involved in our communities in both Weld and Larimer counties. She wrote multiple new courses, most recently, Business for Creatives, which is now one of our most popular courses offered in the program. On the side, Colleen has been featured for her creative welding, having multiple entries in local galleries and showings. Her community service is longstanding, and her involvement with Ames in and out of the classroom is second to none. Based on these highlights and the information in your board packets, our administrative recommendation is for approval of emeritus status for Colleen Martin.
okay, thank you, Dr. Rothamer. Any questions? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve item 6D, emeritus status for Colleen Martin.
I would make a motion for approval of action item 6D.
And I could second that motion.
We have a motion and a second for 6D. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. Congratulations, Colleen. Thank you, Dr. Rothamer.
And thank you all for your support. Colleen couldn't be here today because she's currently teaching her class. And Patty had other obligations, but we will absolutely pass along great information. Thank you.
Very good. Please pass along our congratulations. Okay, information items. 7A is June retreat update. Let me just say that all of the trustees are aware that we could not all make the June retreat date. Dr. B and I, in setting the agenda, and we had heard from some of you as well. I'm sorry. We had heard from some of you as well. Thank you so much for taking care of me.
Sorry, I'm trying not to disrupt it.
We had heard from some of you as well that we would really like to have all our trustees at a retreat. That's very, very important to the board, to the development of the board. And it's one of the few opportunities we have to really discuss some of the things that we need to discuss as a board in an improved environment, in a formal environment. So we are proposing that we move the retreat date. Now, it's not only just so that we can all be there, but it's also because some of you had requested, in fact, all of us requested in the items sent in, that we debrief the pandemic as a board. Well, cabinet will be debriefing the pandemic as well. And there will be a lot of information come out of that debriefing. We felt it was important that the board has that information coming out of their debriefing as well in order to enhance our debriefing and help us debrief as a board for the entire college. So what we are suggesting is that we change the retreat date to the 29th, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Carrie, the 29th and 30th of September.
Correct, September 30th and October 1st.
Okay, the 30th and the 1st. Okay, thank you for that. So September 30th and October 1st. One day, this is going to include, this will include a formal evaluation of our president and the informal evaluation of self-assessment of the board. So it'll be a pretty busy retreat. We need ACCT here for one day of that, and but only one day of that. So we've contacted ACCT, and they can accommodate one of those days, either one of those days. So, or did she specify? She did specify the 30th. Okay, so she specified October or September 30th. So what I'm proposing to the board is that we do that, and all of us make the commitment to be available for those 2 days. And so we can all be there and participate in the retreat.
That's the 29th.
29th of September, 30th of September, 1st of October.
A Friday, Saturday. Oh, wait, excuse me. I gotta move a couple months out.
It's on my calendar.
So are we in consensus? Can we do that? I'll commit.
I can.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
We'll be
Oh my
there.
gosh, we have it.
September
That was the easiest thing we've done in quite some
30th, which
time.
is a Thursday, and October 1st, which is a
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna move on to the next
Yeah,
item real quick.
Just keep going there.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I think it'll make a much better, I know it'll make a much better retreat with the additional information that we'll have and the fact that certainly that we'll all be. So thank you for doing that and making that commitment. So anything else that, Dr. B, got any comments on that? Carrie, anybody? Set to go. Okay, thank you again. Information items 6B, foundation update. Trustee O'Hara, I think you might have a report for us.
I do. Yes, I have 4 different updates for you. And first one being that the foundation board has once again approved a match of $15,000 to support emergency scholarships of $599 each for May graduates who are experiencing financial difficulties. The foundation board members and staff have conducted over 500 calls now, I think it is, in the last 2 weeks, seeking gifts. And we have received commitments on, it's approximately $6,000 that have been raised so far and will be matched by the board. And just to give you a comparison, last year with this same program, we provided 48 students with similar assistance. Second item, we have 2 new board members on the foundation board, Ted Johnson and Bev Peratino. Ted has serves as president of ECI Site Construction Management, been involved in the community in a variety of ways. And Bev Peratino has a long background in nursing in the region, having been involved with North Colorado Medical Center, Medical Center of the Rockies, and even running her own consultancy on surgery services solutions. So both very involved in the community, very committed to education, and we're really pleased to have these 2 board members joining the board team. The foundation board continues to work on board development, and they recently met to finalize committee charters and process guidelines. And we have a retreat coming up in May where we'll focus on future planning and marketing messaging. Last is it relates to the Stampede Social, and many of you have attended the Ames social event at the Greeley Stampede, and due to COVID last year that did not happen. This year we're not exactly sure yet if we will have the Greeley Stampede event. So we're developing an alternative to the Stampede event that would include alumni and faculty being invited to hitch up their buggy and ride on over to the Greeley campus for a giddy up good time. A box lunch, stick horse race, and alumni branded swag will round out this afternoon of fun. And the date would be June 26th. So if the Stampede does go forward and allow audience attendance and participation, tickets will be on sale for that social. And so any questions on any of those items?
The June 26th is the same date, whether the Stampede goes or
Yes. I believe that's correct.
not. I think that was in.
I think they're announcing that Greeley Stampede is going on.
Yeah, they're gonna have the blues jam
Okay.
in early June. So far.
As soon as that gets finalized, I'm sure we'll move forward with the planning at the Greeley Stampede. But at this point, when this was discussed at the foundation board, there wasn't anything final, I believe. I wasn't at that board meeting. As far as whether the Greeley Stampede is going to go forward with full audience as we've experienced in the past.
And Jean, I'm familiar with Ted Johnson. He's a great guy. So he'll do wonders for the board.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Jean, when you said that there's 5,000 phone calls made seeking gifts, are the gifts being requested specific to scholarships or just in general?
It was 500 phone calls, not 5,000.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The gifts were solicited for this particular scholarship to help those who are really struggling to finish up and graduate in May.
Any progress on the naming?
Naming is going to be reported on by Chuck.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Then that completes information items unless anybody has something else. No?
No, thank you.
Okay, moving on. Item number 8, CEO President's Report. Dr. Bornstein, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair Oxiger, members of the board, everybody else. We would like to have Dr. Russ Rothmer come up, who's EVP and CAO. How's all those acronyms? PhD, anything else you want to throw in there?
No, ma'am, thank you.
He's going to give some highlights of the academic affairs area as well as specific comments around the academic program review and viability report. So on the board calendar, your annual calendar, there are 2 times a year in there where Dr. Rothmer presents what is happening with regard to program review, feasibility studies about program ideas. This is one of those times in the year. And then Blackboard Ally is another initiative that he wants to talk about.
Thank you, Dr. Bornstein. Chair Oxiger, members of the board, thank you very much for your time. And prior to providing an update on those items that Dr. Bornstein just mentioned, I do want to highlight one specific piece that's in your board packet of information from Academic Affairs. And what I wanted to highlight is a little piece that's called In the Spotlight. It's a page article that was written by one of our administrative professionals, Nicole Cordova. And if I could steal her eloquent words, for those of you who may not have seen this yet, some people call them gatekeepers, some call them the glue, and some people, well, they literally call them on the phone many times. These are just some of the daily responsibilities of an academic administrative professional. Ames currently has 20 plus administrative professionals just in academic affairs. These professionals represent and comprise more than 100 years of experience as a whole. With such experience and knowledge, it's no wonder they are given titles such as the glue that holds our educational operations together. I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of everyone in academic affairs and across the college to say that, thank you for all that all of our administrative professionals do for the college. And to remember, April 21st is National Administrative Professionals Day. So please take time to celebrate and recognize administrative professionals. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that piece and thank Nicole for taking the time to put this together for you. And then with that, I would like to introduce to you Deb Clark, who is our Assistant Vice President of Academic Affairs, and she will provide the updates on the program review and viability process, as well as program feasibility. And then, as Dr. Bornstein mentioned, an initiative called Blackboard Ally. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Oxiger, board members, Dr. Bornstein. Thanks for an opportunity to update you on some of our key processes that we originally talked to you about back in October when we presented the academic master plan. The annual program review process is a continuous improvement initiative. And this March, we were pleased to deploy 70 unique departmental dashboards to our program directors and chairs. Those dashboards feature indicators that help them understand student success and the health of their programs. The dashboards are used to facilitate discussions with the faculty teams, with their advisory committees and other stakeholders to help inform program action plans. Programs will report on their plans on or around May 1st of this year, and we target October 1st for the deployment of the 2020-2021 dashboard, which will contain, of course, data that we are in the midst of wrapping up this spring semester. This is just kind of a snapshot of our enhanced dashboards that we deployed this year with the 1920 data. And this is actually a real dashboard that features our humanities department. So thanks to that group for being willing to put their data on display. So this year, the dashboard was enhanced with charts to help folks more easily identify trends in some of these data points. We also are now featuring at the very top some demographics that help our departments just see a little bit more about who are the students that they serve each year. And newly added in the bottom right-hand corner, this is the first time that we've really split out our delivery modes so that faculty groups can compare student success between the different modalities that we use to deliver our courses. So following the review of the dashboard, one of the most important parts is us hearing from those programs about what they're going to do now that they've looked at that information. So we this year are launching the use of a smart sheet to manage that workflow. So after the discussion, programs can share with us their observations of the data, what they've discussed relative to that information, share with us any best practices that they have that may benefit other departments to hear about, identify goals moving forward into the next year, and also which pieces of data they plan to monitor moving forward. We also asked them to contribute to kind of our data wish list, which is what other pieces of data would be valuable for them to be able to get in front of themselves each year for continuous improvement. So the second key process we want to update you about today is our new program feasibility process. And as Dr. Bornstein mentioned, you see this regularly. And we did make some refinements to the process that we wanted to share with you. Specifically, we have really refined the definitions that we use to hopefully clarify where each of the possible new academic offerings sits in that feasibility process. So this 1921 snapshot, some of these you've seen before because we're sharing back as far as the BS and public safety, but this kind of shows you how those definitions work. So the logistics, the logistics is in the inquire stage. So that's really the earliest stage where we look at what is the wage that a student would earn upon graduation and employment. What's the employment outlook? And also what are the academic requirements in those occupations? Human services is in that research phase, which means we're digging a little bit deeper, right? The initial inquire stage was deemed as something we might want to pursue. So now we're looking at things like opportunities to articulate to four-year institutions, probably looking at enrollments at other institutions and also seeing what the program costs would be to determine if we move forward. When we move into the developed stage, you've all heard about the BAS in public safety. That's where we're already building the curriculum and we're starting to make sure that all of those approvals we need from the state and from our accreditors are in place. And then obviously when we move to the offer stage, like the LPN to RN or some of those, that's when we're already able to start talking to students and market the program and start to get things scheduled so we can get those offerings moving. You'll see that a number of these are examples of using the status of close, and those are currently not being pursued as new offerings. And usually that has to do with potentially program cost, might have to do with employability within the service area, or other things that are a concern relative to ongoing viability of a program. So that was a whirlwind about those two processes. So what questions do you have for Dr. Rothamer or for me?
Any questions? I see none.
All right. If it's okay, I'll go right on and I'll tell you about an exciting project that we've been working on. So Ames is pleased to be the first two-year college in the state of Colorado to deploy Blackboard Ally. Ally is a software that will be integrated with D2L. It's actually already integrated with D2L. And that's D2L is our learning management system where all of our courses are held, and it's a repository for all of our course content. So Ally provides two primary functions. First, it allows faculty to better understand how accessible their courses are. On the top left-hand side of the slide where it says Ancient Greek Philosophy, sounds like a class I probably shouldn't take. That's an example of what the dashboard will look like for faculty. In addition to showing them how accessible their content is, it gives them quick tips on how to fix things and make things more accessible. Second, the software allows students to access course content in alternate formats. On the far right side, where it says download alternate formats, students can access other file types like audio or Braille files, and that requires no work on the part of the instructor. To support work around increasing our accessibility, faculty and staff will all be invited to participate in an online training on accessible documents, and that's through a partnership with WebAIM. Is that down there on the bottom left? It's just a coincidence that AIM is in the name. And that's through Utah State University. So while the 18-month implementation cycle does not start until this July, I do want to thank the cross-functional team of faculty and staff who've been leading this effort. If you're interested in more information in your board packet, there are some links to short videos that'll show you what we'll be able to offer to folks by using this software. So thank you. And again, if there's any questions about Blackboard Ally, I would do my best to answer them.
Thank you. That concludes the information for these items. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them for you.
I do. So Ally is just it's another platform. Is that correct?
It kind of adds into D2L, which is the learning management system, which helps make the videos and like hard copy PDFs and things more accessible to learners that might not be able to either see or hear the way the current format is.
Okay.
So this involves our, Russ, I'm sorry, excuse me. I know, to stop here. This involves kind of some support for special needs individuals, ADA, or
Certainly,
everybody?
truly, it's everyone.
Okay, this provides a better source of platforms.
It increases our accessibility to all of our learning tools.
Okay.
And that is, if you haven't had a chance to see it, it is like just under a 3-minute video.
Yeah,
If you click on that link, it does a really nice job of.
Start playing. It starts playing.
Well, I'm glad to hear it works.
Sorry.
I did that.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Dr. Rothmer. Appreciate it. That's great. All right, next we have Chuck Jensen, who has a couple of areas that he'd like to highlight, specifically our monthly budget update. Then he'd like to give us an update, progress update on the Welcome Center naming and recognition that the foundation's been working on. And then finally, then Mike Millsaps will join us and narrate through a 7-minute architectural rendering of the Welcome Center and the Student Center that many of you have seen before. I think Heidi, this might be your first time. But when we were touring the Welcome Center, Dr. Peterson had mentioned that it might be a good idea to see that again now that we've actually walked through it and kind of put the two together so you can have that in your minds as well. So, so Chuck, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Bornstein. You have before you the budget report year to date as of February 28th, 2021, the fiscal year. And as we go down through the revenue categories, again, as I've reported in the past, we continue to be on track in all areas. No significant issues to report there. And on the expenditure side, things continue to, people continue to manage their budgets appropriately as we go into this part of the fiscal year. And again, our fiscal year ends June 30th. So this is the time of the year where we start to really get an estimate of kind of where we're ending up on all of our tuitions and things like that, and final expenditures. So with that, I'll stand for any questions on the February budget report. All right, so no questions. One other really quick update before I get into the foundation. We are expecting to close on the hangar this week or early next week. And so that has progressed, I think, as I reported out at the last board meeting. Of course, the airport authority, they declined their first right of refusal. So that allowed us then to proceed on with the sale to an individual. And that sale is moving along, and we expect to close, like I said, within the next week on that. So that's a quick update on the hangar. Yes, and the next one is the naming and sponsorship recognition program. Again, we've had several conversations about this as we've gone through the process here in the last number of months. It's a very unique opportunity between the foundation and the college to collaborate on a naming and sponsorship recognition project for the Welcome Center and the Student Commons. This is a unique, as we've looked at this, we've really approached it with a dual philosophy of both, yes, raising funds for the College Promise Scholarship, but also looking for participation, getting people to participate in the naming and the sponsorship and recognition type opportunities. And I'll give you a couple of examples of we're wanting to make it affordable and open to everybody that we have naming, excuse me, we have recognition opportunities that start at $75. And we got 1,600 stadium seats to sell in there, and we've tiered them out as prices of $75, $150, and $300. So again, we're encouraging participation. That yes, it's good to raise funds, but we're also wanting to increase participation and ownership and participation in those buildings. Excuse me. I'm gonna grab my water real quick. I think I talked myself out before lunch there. So again, I do philosophy of both raising funds and having lots of participation. So again, we're calling it Take a Seat, the auditorium sale seats in auditorium. We're also looking at tile sales for a specific location outside of the Welcome Center. And that price range will be in that low dollar range, $100, $150 range. So again, lots of opportunities for many people. A timeline, we've developed a brochure, and I'll have copies for the board members here to hand out at the end of the meeting that you can take and have and give to friends and such. But we're really engaging in the project. As far as the brochure, we're engaging social media, direct mailing, print ads, and emails. And so we're really engaging in a full campaign kind of mode for this project. Current progress right now, we have committed funds of 123,000, and we're in process with 25,000. So it's got off to a good start as far as naming opportunities and sponsorship opportunities that people have already committed to. Our executive director, Kelly Jackson, she is aggressively prospecting with an aggressive schedule, looking for numerous outreach calls each week, numerous individual meetings each week. So really going into kind of what we call campaign mode here with this project. My intent is to keep the board updated on the progress during my VP reports going forward. I mean, this will be an extended project, through the Welcome Center, through the Student Commons, then ultimately the Windsor project. That'll be another opportunity that we'll have that will create different naming, sponsorship, and recognition opportunities at that facility. So again, this is a really unique opportunity, as we've talked in the past, of allowing the foundation to partner with the college on this type of a project, so that when we're talking to donors about sponsoring the College Promise endowment, we can also talk to them about these opportunities for naming and sponsorship. We're on schedule right now for that when we have the December opening, that whatever naming and sponsorship and recognition items that we've, I guess in a sense, sold, that we hope to have them installed, or will have them installed prior to the December opening. And Kelly will be reaching out to board members. She'll be reaching out to community members, staff, faculty, to make this opportunity available to them. And as we look at, as you look at this brochure, and if you're involved in groups for speaking engagements, please let Kelly know. She'll show up at your Kiwanis Club, or whatever social groups or civic groups that you belong to. So please, if you have any recommendations, please pass that along to her. And so that's where we stand right now on this project. It's off and running, and I'll stand for any questions.
Are all the monies just dedicated to the College Promise?
Yes, the College Promise Scholarship Endowment.
There's no other avenues?
No.
Okay.
And I assume that this is a ongoing kind of when the Welcome Center is open, that cuts it off. There's no more opportunities for somebody to name something.
No, this will continue on
until everything is sold.
Yeah, yeah, that's the intent, that this will be an ongoing project for now into the foreseeable future. And and as the building opens and the community people participate, that's gonna, we just expect it to continue to roll along and get bigger as more people experience the Welcome Center and the Student Commons, and then want to be part of that, part of those projects and those types of opportunities. And then again, supporting the College Promise Scholarship Endowment. So like I said, we're off and running. And
so, is there subtitles to the College Promise program?
Subtitles.
So if someone wanted to invest in concurrent enrollment programs that Ames offers to the surrounding school districts, could we make that happen?
Mark, I couldn't hear you down here. Could you?
Oh, I'm sorry. So if someone wanted to make an investment in concurrent enrollment programs that are surrounding the school districts and Ames Community College, because it's Ames programs. Could an investment be made, or would it just be made at another, you wouldn't get a seat or you wouldn't get a janitor's door?
Right now, the foundation board is focused on the College Promise Scholarship.
Okay.
So yes.
So that's a no.
That would be a
Yeah,
no.
Well, I think,
But-
let me jump in here, because I can probably hear Kelly in my head going, if an entity or group or a person wanted to start a scholarship or start a line item within the foundation that was specific to concurrent enrollment, that could be done at any time, but it wouldn't be tied to
This project.
this project.
Yeah. No, very correct. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, those types of things can be entertained at any time.
Okay, so could we direct you to Kelly?
Well, yeah, I've already talked to Kelly and we're in communication. So if we bring $100,000 in for concurrent enrollment, they can't get their name anywhere but in some ledger book. Am I correct?
As it stands right now, yes, you know,
Okay,
that's the name of
that's what I
projects,
wanted
but
So, yeah, that
Well,
could be discussed with the foundation.
yeah,
board.
that could be
That's a
dis-
foundation board decision.
yeah, I mean, I guess I shouldn't be so quick to just say no, but it could be an opportunity for the board to, I mean, this is the direction that the foundation board has set at this point. Boom. We're creating this project and the funds raised by this project are committed to this endowment. If there are other opportunities that present themselves, there's always room for discussion.
Sure. Makes sense.
Looks like, oh, Mike is here.
All right, with no further questions, we'll turn it over to what's exciting.
Thanks, Chuck.
Something fun to watch. So Mike, I'll turn it over to you and thank you very much.
Sorry about that. It took me a long time to get down the hallway. I could hear y'all. Thank you for having me, Board of Trustees, Dr. Bornstein. As Dr. B mentioned just a short time ago, what a great way to follow up a tour of the actual construction itself. I know we didn't hit the student comments, but a lot of great content for the Welcome Center. And this video, remember, it does show both buildings. So I'll kind of go through that a little bit and add some narrative. So I get my usual 2 hours, right? So I'll condense it in 7 minutes. And with that, Matthew, go for it. And I'll kind of go back and forth.
You might need to just get closer to the microphone.
Sure. So as we go through, this video was created almost 2 years ago. You all remember that. So at the time, we're driving west on 20th Street, looking north at the new Welcome Center. And for a design that was created almost 2 years ago, we're pretty close.
Yeah.
It's pretty close, right? The technology is incredible. So as we go through here, there may be a few glitches as we go through. But again, coming in the west entrance of the Welcome Center, it's kind of a drop-off area, short-term parking. And then we come in the entry lobby, and this has changed a little bit over time. We've added quite a bit of context actually into space. This is a very generic version of it. So you see kind of a information desk when you come in. There's actually a 9x16 screen that will go right behind that info desk. It's an incredible video wall. Now we're walking into the student side of the house. There'll be check-in kiosks on the right-hand side there on that south wall. You come into a two-story vertical space that again offers really nice loungy area. The navigator check-in stations, a lot of glass. If you can see right through the auditorium right there, that's exactly what we planned for, and that's what we're doing. So pretty exciting with all the open sight lines. Kind of flying up from the outdoor patio. Y'all got a great tour of this on a beautiful day. The views weren't the best, but the views are there. So we definitely got it right as far as where the building stands on that site. We can definitely see over the trees into the mountains. So here we are traveling north on our 11-foot boardwalk, 11-foot wide boardwalk that really ties the student commons and the Welcome Center together. A lot of native grasses in that area. We're really excited. The light poles are actually wooden light poles, something new for us. It's a new material we're excited to share. So here we are coming in to the southeast corner of the student commons. If you came on campus this morning and drove by, you see they're starting out the steel structure for the outdoor patio areas. That just started this morning. You see the crane on campus today. So we have sail on the right-hand side. This is coming in the south entrance. We're adding a new set of stairs up to the learning commons, as you see there. A big change in the college center to student commons. It's wide open, easy to navigate, easy to see things across the entire building from whatever direction you look. So backing out to the West Plaza toward Ed Beatty, this will all change as well. It was already a really nice seating area for students to hang outside. So now there'll be a fire feature, a lot of new plantings, and of course those plantings will take a few years, but it would be beautiful when they're done. So back into the main floor of the student commons, a very open seating area for food service. There was also an event space. You can see all to the right, see a few folks in there. Again, open, open, open. No more barriers, a very open design. Student lounge area, gaming area. Again, something that student union, student commons feel. We didn't have that before. So we're very excited to complete this for the students. So here we are, we kind of fly up into the second level of the student commons. And this is that open platform again. A lot of glass, a lot of open sight lines, another loungy fire feature. You can also access the outdoor patio as you see here. And that's why the crane is here today. That's all the structure that's being built right now. Again, they back out a lot of new green areas, turf grass, getting away from all the concrete, hard surface areas. You back out, that's exactly what it's going to look like. If you notice, the roundabout went away. We kind of have a drop-off area south of Allied Health. New parking lot where Lot K used to be for faculty and staff. And then we kind of wind around again, hovering over the Welcome Center and kind of backing into the southeast corner of our campus. So now looking southeast, again, back to the Welcome Center, there's going to be a strong connection between the student commons and the Welcome Center. I think students will really enjoy just kind of hanging out even between the two buildings. If you walk between the two buildings, here's our connecting point on the northwest corner of the Welcome Center. It's a really nice short walk. There'll be areas to stop and sit at a bench, table, do homework. There's so many different areas that we're designing into the site. And here we are on the right, there'll be that really exciting story wall. So it's great to follow Chuck when he talks about donors and the foundation. That's a lot of exciting discussion. In the auditorium to the right. So here's that third floor ballroom. Again, a little difficult to understand maybe when we walked through a few weeks ago. But a lot of glass on the west, a lot of glass on the north. And there's that beautiful rooftop patio, which again, is really starting to take shape. And you guys, I think, got a feel for that just a few weeks ago. That is a glass railing. It will be glass. Then we head into that auditorium. Again, huge screens on the left side and right side of the stage. Open to the outside. That'll be a clear glass panel if it's closed. So again, the sight lines between the student service side and the Welcome Center and the auditorium. It's wide open. Those beautiful skyboxes are now framed in as of yesterday. When we walked it, there was hardly any framing. They're already done. So here we are backing out in the courtyard. a lot of recessed seating areas. But you can see, again, right up the stage as well. And again, what it could look like in a few years once we get our landscape established. And then the sun sets.
You didn't show the escalator.
So yes, the escalators, I know we all got to see those. Some of you, we took pictures together in front of the escalator. So yeah, very exciting. Any questions for me?
Thank you, Mike. That was really helpful, actually, to see it again after being in the space. So Dr. Peterson, thank you for that suggestion. It was brilliant.
Yeah, and thank you again for your time. It's obviously exciting for us to walk folks through. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Chuck, were you done with your highlights?
I conclude my report.
Okay, just want to make sure. Thank you. On that happy note, okay. Next in the president's report, Dee Schultz, who's our Executive Director of Human Resources, wanted to give you some context around how HR is structuring, how they're going to execute the review of their policies and procedures. So Dee, take it away.
Thank you. Good afternoon again. That's hard to follow, so I get to move right into the policies and procedures. As Dr. Bornstein mentioned, I'm here to provide you some context with our policies and procedures review. Our first phase started out with kind of determining which current policies and procedures would fall under human resources. And then the second phase that we went into was to reorganize those policies and procedures and make sure that all of our procedures fell under an umbrella of a board policy, board approved policy. So in reviewing those, we looked at our current situation, and I won't go through those. You have that in the document that you have. But this is kind of what drove that second phase to reorganize our policies and procedures and create a new structure. Over the next probably 12 to 24 months, we'll be bringing forward policies for board approval. And the example that I'm providing here is showing how that might look. I may be bringing a new policy forward, such as employee benefits, and at the same time repealing another policy or 2 or 3 policies. And as you see in the example, when I repeal those policies, we'll most likely be replacing them with a procedure that would fall under that new umbrella policy. So I just wanted to provide you with some context on that. The reorganization phase, the intent was not to alter the content or the intent of any existing policy or procedure. So any policies or procedures policies that we do change the content, then of course will be brought forward for approval. So I might be reminding you over the months in the future about what the intent, what the context of our reorganization is as I bring forward policies for your approval. Any questions?
Straightforward. The timeline on this?
Over the next 12 to 14 months, our goal is to bring forward, start bringing forward some policies for consideration in the fall.
Okay, so my question about your action item A regarding adjunct and other paid things, that would happen at that time. Well,
sorry, it's hard to hear down.
My question regarding action item A that I had a concern, with not enough information, you would provide us more information regarding some of those issues regarding adjuncts and
So
if we would make a change at all.
Yes, that will be the plan in the future, yes.
Thank you.
So there may be so there's procedures that fall under policy, so it depends which process that follows,
But would they involve pay, or would they just involve how you handle employees and contractors?
Well, there is a compensation section, and so there is a policy with regards to compensation, and there are procedures that fall under that.
Okay.
So just for a little bit more context, the reason that Dee is presenting this, and it's a little different, let me back up. So as you know, in our current strategic plan, there's a whole section on policy and procedure review, policy and procedures for the entire college that we're taking 5 years, every single policy and procedure we're reviewing. You have, over the course of the last few years, been receiving action items about either updated policies or new policies or repealing policies, right? Sunsetting those policies. That's how we're, each cabinet member and within their division is reviewing that. HR has the most policies and procedures. There's 143 of them. So in order to, or more. So in order to organize this process, and as Dee mentioned, as the HR was going through all of them, it seemed to make sense to have a couple umbrella policies, which she just described, for which some procedures would fit. And that's what this example is that we don't necessarily need a separate policy for insurance and a separate policy for staff development and a separate policy for a discount program. We could have one policy that says employee benefits, and all those then are procedures. So trying to organize all of this is what she's presenting here, just so that you have context. So over the next 2 years, as she brings this forward, she may help us remember. Now, remember, I brought this, we're repealing this, but we have it, we're moving it into procedure. So it's not lost, it's just procedure, not policy. Now, having said that, board approves policy, not procedure. So therein lies also some of that movement back and forth. So we're going to rely on Dee's best judgment as to how that is moving forward. And of course, as board have questions, we'll bring those forward. So to your question, Mark, that compensation piece will probably be a procedure. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. There may be a large umbrella policy, but there may be a bunch of procedures under that. So
the goal is to take an ocean and turn it into a Great Lake, a little bit simpler to understand and navigate through.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, hopefully that was helpful, but clear as mud.
Well, this is not new.
No.
Well, we've been swimming in a sea of policy
for how long?
5 years.
Right.
Yeah, this is a different subject matter than what we've had thus far.
Correct.
And guess what? When she's done,
We'll do it again.
and it'll- something else will change. It's ever evolving. That's just the nature.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Dee. All right, Dr. Sarah Weiscaver, Vice President for Student Engagement, Inclusion, and Success, would like to give some highlights on that division and also an enrollment report, which I believe you have in your packet.
Good afternoon, Board of Trustees. It's so great to see you in person. It is, yeah, it feels really good, right? It feels really good. And there's been all of the reports today with the universal design that Dr. Rothermer talked about. I'm really excited about, and possible programs and opportunity to buy chairs. I'm just like, wow, this is a really exciting meeting. And I want to make it even more exciting for you. So with the highlights that I have to share. So it's April and it's time to talk about commencement. And so you'll all see, one moment, that at each of your tables, I have provided you via the sale office, the very same picnic blankets that this year's graduates get or have already received as part of their virtual commencement graduation ceremony. Yeah, so this is a gift. They'll get additional gifts. Earlier this semester on March 31st, we invited graduates to come to Cornerstone and have their pictures taken by professional photographers, grab some burritos, get a gift, get dressed up in their regalia so they could have their picture taken, so that on May 7th at 5 p.m., May 7th at 5 p.m., when we do commencement, we'll all be able to log in and watch commencement just like we did last year, except this year we'll see some graduates who chose to in pictures of their federal regalia with quotes and that sort of thing. So really excited about that. The other thing I would just share with you all to kind of make some connections for you. So Patty Schultz, Tiffany Brickley, some of these folks that were brought up in our Ripples and Recognition by Jen Seedorf are the very same people who are planning commencement and working with all the students. So they just shout out to them because they are all over the place, working hard, doing amazing things. Wanted to share with you, we completed the campus climate survey. We had, you can see in your packet there, just on my highlights page, we had a great response rate. When we look at the total was 13% of students, 39% of faculty, 100% of administrators, and 59% of the staff completed this survey. So what that tells me is that we're going to get some really strong results back regarding how our employees and our students feel about Ames culture and their sense of belonging here. So really excited about that. Also wanted to share with you that Colorado now has a day, Equity Day of Dialogue. And I included Governor Polis's proclamation in your packet. I believe Dr. Rothermer participated in that for Dr. Bornstein. Ames was a significant part of that effort. And so I just thought that important for the board to know. If you noticed while you were driving in, any kind of message on the monument sign saying college for kids, register now. I'm really excited about that program. That program recently moved over to the SACE division just last May. This year, instead of doing 100% online, we're doing a hybrid option. And to no one's surprise, in Greeley, all of our in-person seats are completely full. So Greeley's full. We are seeing those numbers inch up in Fort Lupton and in Loveland, which is to be expected. And this is our first year we're offering this program in Windsor. So really excited to be able to expand that program out. Also wanted to share just a little bit about the Weld Trust Grant Award that we were awarded for $10,000. And this is important as we think about what is it that students need in terms of mental health, in terms of additional support. We're going to be using part of these funds to implement a new program called Talk Campus, which is a 24/7 hotline where students talk to peers across the nation. And those peers then are supervised by professionals. So if it gets them into any kind of, difficult ideation issues or things like that, then our students will be connected with professionals. But it gives our students a really great opportunity to connect at a different level and to make sure that they always have resources versus the hours of resource that we provide. So excited about that moving forward.
Can you give us an example of how that would work?
Yeah, so
for instance.
Yep. So if a student called in to speak to a counselor here at Ames, they would be forwarded onto this number, I believe, and then they would get on the phone and they would say, "Hi, I'm from Talk Campus. I'm Ryan. I'm from Talk Campus. What do you want to talk about today?" So that's we're looking for that seamless transition between the services students would get here if they were to call and say, "I need to talk to a counselor," and then the services they could get by using this program.
And this is for mental health counseling?
Mental health counseling. Yeah. And we do currently have a relationship with North Range that students can use 24/7 as well. The difference here is that this is a peer relationship, and so oftentimes with students in college, that peer relationship is really helpful to them moving forward on their journey as students, on their journeys as young people, that sort of thing. So that's kind of the difference there. Great question. That's it for my highlights. I'm happy to provide answers, if I can, to any more questions that you have. And then I'll move on to the enrollment report.
Dr. Weiskopf, maybe this isn't for you to answer, but I saw in the legislative report that we just received that higher education, I think, is going to have a equity officer or something they just created. How's that going to connect, or does it connect, or?
Yeah, so the Equity Champions Coalition, I don't know if you'll all remember, a couple months back, maybe 6 months back, I shared with you that Colorado Department of Higher Education was putting together an Equity Champions Coalition. And it's an opportunity for folks to come together and put together a report saying, here's what we believe as the state needs to do in order to move forward and help move our equity work forward. I was really fortunate in that I was able to participate on that coalition and that report writing. One of the recommendations that came out of that report was having that position that you're referring to as a standing position in the department. And so I believe you'll see in the proclamation, these are the evidence and the recommendations that were presented through the report are now being moved through different pieces of potential legislation or business practice.
Thank you.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Other questions?
That proclamation was too small for my eyes.
I know, it was tiny. It was tiny.
On the windfalls from COVID money, the compensation, I think was it 9.3 million? On the health and welfare, what are some topics that could possibly play? Do you have an idea what, or is that still in discussion kind of?
Yeah, we're still kind of working out the kinks. Dr. Bornstein, I think, is excited to share where some of those broader pictures, those pieces are going through. But certainly I think I'm proud of the work so far that has been done. And I think it's really focusing on, what are those basic and most important needs for our students. So I feel really proud of the work that's done so far and proud of the work that's yet to come. And I know Dr. Bornstein will be updating you all in the near future to let you know what our brilliant genius plans are.
Okay, good.
Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
Okay, so moving on to the enrollment report, I'd like to direct you and just walk you through this document. This enrollment report, as I share this with you, is really a college enrollment update. So not necessarily a final report, but an update of where we are right now. What you see in this document is both fall, our previous fall that we had just a couple months ago, and where we are currently in spring. The end of this report won't be finished until we complete summer. So your final enrollment report for this academic year that we're currently in will come to you next September, okay? But just to give you kind of a quick overview, our head count for fall was down a little bit, as we shared with you in the fall. We had about 37% of our headcount was made up of high school students. So that could be concurrent, dual, any of those folks. And then the other 60%, of course, was college students. As we look at race and ethnicity demographics, you see that about 40% of our students identify as students of color. About 60% of our students are white students. We're still showing with our gender demographics that women I was going to say, is this up, but it's not. That women are attending school at a little bit higher rate than men. Although one thing I'd like to point out is we keep seeing this decrease. So that's a really great thing in our community. That because for so long it was 60-40, and now we're starting to see that shift a little bit. Some things I'm excited about as it relates to some of our fall progress rates. So retention, when we think full-time students who enroll in fall and then stay and enroll in fall again, so that fall to fall cycle. When we include students who graduated, that's 51%. And the reason that's important is to think about those graduating students truly did, we retained them because they met their goal. Part-time students, you see a significant difference here. I shouldn't say that word significance, but you see a notable difference here, where with our full-time students, we're retaining at 51% for the fall. However, for our part-time students, we're retaining at 34%. So that's when we look at the strategic plan and you see some of these different initiatives that are really designed to help students take more credit hours and to help them take 30 credit hours in a year, whatever mix that might look like. This is why, because we know that students who are going to school full-time are more likely to be successful than students who are going part-time. Not saying that part-time students aren't successful, they are, but we just know statistically that they tend to be more successful. As far as persistence, those students that are moving from fall to spring, that's an important number right there. So fall to spring persistence was 77%. Again, part-time just about 20% under that. So we keep seeing about that 20% gap between full-time and part-time students. Completion was about 33%. One thing I'd like to point out is at the top of this document, I gave you head count. So I said, here's the numbers of human bodies that are high school students, and here's the number of human bodies that are college students. When we start to look at FTE, so full-time equivalent, and that's how we determine our budget, that's how we determine a lot of those things, we see a different picture of what high school and college look like. So high school students really have 420 FTE, so that's 22% of the enrollment, right? So on the top, we're like, oh wow, high school enrollment's like almost 40%, but if we really look at it in full-time enrollment, we see that it's only 22% because our high school students are only taking a class here, a class there, right? Whereas college students are 77%. So that's what we saw for fall. Any questions there before we move on to spring?
When you're looking at the age demographics, when we have our 18 to 25 group and then we have under 18, does the 18 include the high school students that are technically 18, or does it include just enrolled students, I guess? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. It's a really good question. And Trustee, how I don't.
There are some 18-year-old high school students that.
Yeah, my kids are one. I'm gonna have an 8. We were just talking about that. Yeah, you know, that's a really good question, and I would have to ask our IRNA folks how we look at that.
Okay.
My guess is, since the dominant factor we're looking at here is high school student, anyone who is coded as a high school student, regardless of age, is in that group. If they are a degree seeking student or have a high school diploma, GED, have completed high school, they are now a college student. So I don't know the age comes into it a whole lot. That's my gut, but I can find out for you. Spring.
I asked Dr. Weiskopf, you talk about full-time students versus part-time. And we've got broken out female, male. Is there a difference there between full-time more male, full-time more female, vice versa?
We are seeing, I'm going, oh, I know exactly where the answer to that is, and it's in a report that's sitting on my desk. So Forgive me, Trustee Peterson. I would very much appreciate the opportunity to email Dr. Bornstein and have her forward that information to you.
Okay, I'd appreciate that.
Thank you. So moving on to spring, seeing a very similar picture that we saw in fall. When we look at, relationship between high school students' headcount, college students' headcount, when we're looking at students of color versus white students, female students versus male students, we're seeing very, very similar pieces. One of the most important parts of what you all wanted to know, as I understand it, or as I perceived it, perhaps is a better way to say that from our last board meeting, was really trying to understand where do we think we're going to be based on everything that happened with COVID. Where do we think we're going to be as we move into summer and as we move into fall? Part of that you saw a little bit in Chuck Jensen's budget report when we looked at what are we expecting in terms of tuition revenue. I can share with you that we are forecasting, we're projecting increases in the fall of 21 in both high school students as well as college students. You can kind of see what that looks like there, both from a headcount perspective as well as from an FTE perspective. These projections are based on some really fancy statistical analysis completed out of our institutional research department using a software program called Tableau. And this product helps us project into the future what we might expect. And so wanted to share this with you. I think the evidence, there's some additional evidence that is coming up as we start to look at the very, very early weeks of enrollment for both summer and fall for next year. We're seeing that in both instances we're up. As per usual, the largest number that we're up is returning students. That makes sense. They know the deal. They know how to, okay, I got to talk to an advisor, then I got to enroll. And so that's what we're seeing in both instances. We are seeing one thing that's really exciting, particularly for the summer, we're seeing an increased enrollment in students of color over where we were last year. So those things are exciting. Now, before everybody jumps out of their seats, I'm trying to be like really cheery here. Please know that we opened up enrollment a week earlier than we did last year at this time. And so our data hasn't had a time to kind of level out yet. So as we move forward, as I continue to give you enrollment reports, we're going to start to see that data normalize a little bit. But ideally, what we're projecting is that we're still going to see the upward trend as we move into both summer and fall.
It's going to have a springboard effect, isn't it? Because, we went down in enrollment and then come back up. When do you think? Well, could be. Hopefully,
I don't know that we're going to get fully back to where we were pre-COVID, but I think we can. Our hope is to recover at least where we lost. So rather than increasing the amount that we lost during COVID plus what we would have gained if COVID never happened, if we could somehow erase that magically from our lived experience, we're hoping to just get back up to those pre-COVID levels.
And then the fall of 19 numbers from 55, 85 to 20, fall of 19, are we about 2,000 to 3,000 students different?
Can you ask that another way? So I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm.
This is fall. Well, it's the other one's fall of 5964, fall of 2020, and then fall of 2019 would have been what number over there to the right?
You're down at the
I'm on page. I think I'm on page 65, 80 out of 86. Am I on the right page?
Does it look like this?
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah.
I don't have the same page numbers as you do, so.
It says 50 for fall of 2020. It said total student count was 5964. Fall of 2019 pre-COVID would have said what number there?
It says 6575.
Okay.
So We're estimating just under that at 6329.
Okay.
And that's in terms of headcount. Again, not in terms of FTE.
I don't know. Are you talking 19 or are you talking 20?
So there's 3 columns there,
Yeah.
and one at the top, it says 2019. The next one over is 2020. The next
Maybe I
one
don't
over.
have it right now.
We don't have a two, no.
I don't have a 2019. Do I?
Go to the second page. Down at the bottom.
Oh, beat me up here. Okay. Yeah,
Where
I
is
hate that.
Sorry, page 2, bottom of the
Page
page.
2 out of the page. Thank you. I'm sorry.
So this is.
You answered all my questions. There's only 700 students difference.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
600. Okay, good job.
Okay,
thank you.
okay.
So you see that we're anticipating we're not going to be as high as we were pre-COVID. However, we are anticipating we'll be higher than we were last year.
Sure. Well, we're not pre-COVID yet.
No.
No, we're still in it, right? And that's the thing. There's a lot of articles that are going around. In fact, several of the cabinet members and I, Dr. Rothermer, are sending each other different articles that we're reading across the nation, you know, and there's a lot of community college out there who aren't seeing the rebound after COVID or at this point. So schools in California, they're not seeing their enrollment up yet. They're still seeing decline. So this has been a really interesting phenomenon that, of course, you know, we haven't ever lived through in our lifetime, but fascinating for community colleges, fascinating for four-year institutions. Typically, community colleges benefit in these instances and these circumstances, and we're just not seeing that. So it's going to be very interesting as we follow along. Trustee O'Hara.
Do you think the slow recovery of our student population might be, at least to some degree, related to, there are a lot of jobs out there now?
Yeah.
So if I can get a job and earn some money, then later I'll go back to school.
You know, I think if you're asking my personal opinion, and I was having this discussion with our IR&A director this morning, he and I like to over coffee kind of argue about, you know, what do we think is going to happen if we had a crystal ball? And that's exactly what we were talking about, is the relationship between the economy and people needing money right now. And it's one of the reasons I personally feel we're seeing an increase in part-time students. Because those part-time students are also working, and so they're trying to balance both. Versus the full-time students. We're seeing part-time students increase at a rate beyond full-time students that we haven't seen previously. And so we do think that that interplay with the economy and jobs is having a lot to do with it.
Thank you.
Yes. Great, if that's it, I hope y'all go on a picnic when it gets warm again and use that blanket. Your families or your grandkids or whoever, your partners, your dogs will love it. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in May.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. We good to keep going? Okay.
Keep going.
So in your packet, I think it's on page 85 of 86, you'll see the president's community meetings of note. So pretty straightforward unless you have any questions. Trying to see if there's anything I can highlight here. What? Zach, is it once a quarter for KFKA? Okay, so once a quarter, I'm a regular guest on KFKA Morning Show with Gail, so I don't know if you heard that, but Zach is great. He keeps in touch with that radio station, and then they agree ahead of time sort of topics, and then it's live, and Gail's great. I haven't met her in person, but I'm looking forward to meeting her in person. We gave each other virtual hugs on the radio. So that's been actually really fun. And that connection was made actually through Andy Feinstein UNC president, because he does that on a regular basis too. So that was a great connection. So that's been fun to do. And everything else there is pretty straightforward. Any questions about what you see on the meetings of note?
Did Greeley really have an annual dinner? The Greeley Chamber?
It was virtual. It was during dinner time, but it was virtual. And actually, you know, I thought, I don't know how other folks participated, but I thought it was great. I think the chamber did a really nice job of different types of virtual kinds of activities or events or videos and different people talking sort of in live in a studio versus then a video, then that, where it felt really, I thought, personable. So Jamie Henning did a fantastic job with, and her team, of course, did a fantastic job with that. So no, it wasn't in person. Any other questions?
A lot of meetings.
Yeah.
Well, you can do a lot of meetings from Zoom. I found that to be true.
Yes, you can. Yes.
You can be everywhere. You never have to dress.
Once you, yeah, you don't need that half an hour in between meetings to drive there or walk there or get there, right? You could just go from one to another. So,
Okay.
All right. Trying to get to the next page. Oh, here we go. So the next page is the employer report. You'll see new positions and leading employment of the college. Again, my hope is that the first time that we're fully all together, then what I'd like to do is everybody that's been hired within the last year with their supervisors, you know, stand up, and that would be nice to be introduced to everybody as well. So if you're comfortable, we'll hope for that. So that actually, if you don't have any questions, that concludes the president's report. Chair Oxford.
Super. All right, well, thank you, Dr. B, and thank you to your cabinet and everyone who reported today. Great meeting, a lot of great information, and I think we're all appreciate this. We're all looking forward to the time we can all be in actually see one another and relate to one another. So, but this worked well. It's good to kind of be halfway there. Some of us be here in person. So, all right, comments from board members.
I'd like to start. First off, I'd like to say thank you to Dee, because you had a big presentation today and you had some other comments that weren't really expected, and I think caught us off guard a little bit as well. So I wanted to appreciate your comments and your patience with us as I'm still learning. This might go into the assessment of what we learned. On page 34 on the Ames Faculty Association, what caught me that I thought was just amazing was your adjunct faculty member in anthropology. He wrote something that I thought was really intriguing and talked about the format as far as Zoom, online courses, that he had an unexpected familiarity and increasing empathy towards his students, because he was able to kind of enter into their homes, kind of see where they lived, how they lived, animals, kids. And I thought, if we didn't have COVID, people would have never gained that experience and realized people are human. And I thought, especially coming from an anthropology teacher, that was right on. So I was appreciative that you folks put that in. I thought that was important. So that's my 2 cents.
Super. Thank you, Heidi. Let's go next.
Good information, well delivered. I thought it was a very meaningful and informative meeting.
I would second that motion, and I just would also say, God, it's good to see all of you. And I just really look forward to next month. Maybe we can even be a little closer. I mean, I think wasn't there something about maybe 6 foot is not necessary. It could be 3 feet now or something. Anyway, but in all seriousness, No, I don't feel like my life has been altered really a whole lot by COVID, but I feel that way. It's like I've been in prison or something. And so just to get out and join all of you and staff and everything it's just been a wonderful, where are we? April. So I look forward to May.
It'll be easier to keep track of the months now.
Well, that's what COVID does to you. You know, oh, you God, it's April.
Okay. Mr. Martin?
Yes, I echo all those thoughts. I mean, just being in contact visually, I think it's important that we miss it. We know we all do. And COVID has been a blessing in the only way that I think is it's made us miss what we see as most important from time to time. And so that's a blessing. The other blessings I mentioned a few times here today is we haven't had as many sick people because we're all wearing masks, so we're not really migrating any other flu or cold illness, and that's been a different challenge there. I do appreciate these. I know I kind of grilled on this one, and it was a statement that I wanted to make sure that I understand a lot of things, and I think we need to learn a little bit more about that. Compensation, you can't make everybody happy. I know that to be true. And if everybody wanted less, wouldn't it be easy? But everybody kind of wants more from time to time. They want to be respected. So I appreciate the people that did voice their opinion today. I think that's the first social comment we've had in about a year or so. I do appreciate that, John. And oh no, I forgot her name. But thank you for doing that. And thank you for the answers and your follow-up, Dr. B, as far as, policy and position and precedent and all of the above. It's a challenge. I know precedent's a challenge, but at the same time, we need to understand a little bit more without, getting itchy in the weeds. That can happen so easy for a board member. I want to thank everybody for their participation today. The board members, AV staff there, Nathan, all the gang that keeps track of us, records us, tells us to tap on our mics once or twice. Lyle, thank you for your chairmanship.
Hey, thank you, Mark. Well, I certainly concur with what other people have said. I thought it was a great meeting, a lot of good information. Again, it was great to be back in person and getting this in-person relationship going again. I look forward to doing it all here, as I said before. These meetings are always great learning experiences and responsibilities more. How policies and procedures, everything are intertwined and what they mean to one another and how they work and how complex the system really is to get the job done that we all do so well and we all do so well. So it's good to get that appreciation. I think our assessment of the board meeting, what did we learn? Anybody got anything specific? Learned tons. We all
learned a lot. I mean, from the foundation, everything.
What worked? Anything didn't work? Anything did work? I think most things worked. I didn't really see. I think the meetings go well. They work fine. We do a good job. Did we focus on oversight strategy and challenges? We certainly always do that. We have good guidance in that, everybody here. And did we receive the information we needed to have an effective conversation? Anybody feel we didn't? I think we always get all the information we need. And if we don't get it,
yes,
here,
Ask for it.
it's so good about follow-up. I love it. I've never seen follow-up fail, not happen. Just appreciate that. And did everyone have an opportunity to speak? So I think that's everyone probably. Yeah, so I think good board assessment, good meeting. Anybody have anything else?
No, I'd just like to make one more comment, if I may, Mr. Chairman, and
Please do.
I'm going to pick up on Trustee O'Hara's words, but he said something like, and I just really agree with it, it's just amazing how much student support there is in this institution. I've said, once you get here, God dang it, you're not going to fail. You're just not going to fail. And I just think it's just wonderful. It's just exactly what an excellent institution should be doing, which we are. And very proud of it. I'm really glad to be a part of this institution.
Yeah, I think we're all on board with that. So. Okay, anything else? With that, we're adjourned. Thank you.